Hey you, it's CovertGo2, and today I've got a bunch of cards from March of the Machine that I'm going to be reading and checking out. They're coming out too fast. There are so many cards coming out so fast for March of the Machine. I don't know how to go over all of them with you. I definitely won't have time to make a video for every single one, so I'm just going to grab a batch that are interesting to me, and we'll talk about them here on the channel for a few days. It'll be fun. Everybody wants me to talk about this card. Why? Because of Shark Typhoon. This card is not Shark Typhoon, but everybody wants me to talk about this card anyway. Let's make it happen. This is Chrome Host Seedshark. This is 2 and a blue for a rare Phyrexian shark, a flying 2/4. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is that spell's mana value. And just a reminder for Incubate fans, create an incubator token with X +1/+1 counters on it, and 2 : transform this artifact. It transforms into a 0/0 Phyrexian artifact creature. So, is it the new Shark Typhoon? Oh my god, Shark Typhoon is back. Some of y'all are weird. This doesn't say draw a card anywhere on it. The thing that made Shark Typhoon amazing was this uncounterable ability to create a creature at instant speed without actually putting a spell on the stack in control mirrors and beat the opponent to death while drawing a card. Drawing a card is important. This card is interesting and okay, and there might be decks where you just play this. Like, if I just put this in a blue-white control deck in my 3 spot, and then the rest of my deck had Wandering Emperors and Jace and no other creatures and a lot of removal spells, it might not be bad. I will say that making an incubator token is not nearly as good as making an XX token, where X is the mana value of what you cast. Incubators still need mana investment to become creatures. That is a significant downside from Shark Typhoon as well. Maybe even nastier than not drawing a card. This card is not nearly as good as people who are reaching out or telling me to review it want it to be, but it's not bad. 4 toughness is a lot for just 3 mana. It's a board presence, and it does get you some kind of reoccurring value if it's not dealt with. I honestly think it'll be better in Commander, a place where you do want to play creatures for like 2 mana and 3 mana. Very often, just have something on the battlefield so that you're not open that's providing some kind of ongoing value through the game. I think that this is a good spot for that, and you can do a lot more with the tokens. There's a lot of things you can do, like improvise a Whir of Invention. On Arena, I'm super skeptical. It might see some play because it does live through Cutdown, and it does live through Lightning Strike. So I might try it in a few spots, but I'm not nearly as excited about it as a Shark Typhoon. I wish I were. I also wish it made shark tokens so it could bring back the CGB shark token. That would be nice. Let's move on to Zergo and Ojitai. This one I am excited to talk about because this throws back to one of my favorite cards of all time, which is Dragon Lord Ojutai. So this is Zergo and Ojutai. Zurgo is a 1 red 2/2 orc, yeah, and Ojutai a 5/4 dragon. 2 and a blue and a red and a white. That is Jeskai. This is from Tarkir, for those of you who weren't around for that. A mythic orc dragon, 4/4 flying haste. Okay. It has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn. Okay, I like this. They can't just doom blade it immediately. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or battle, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You may return 1 of those dragons to its owner's hand. What? So anticipate glued on to a 4/4 flying haste hexproof for that turn, and then you have the option, if you wanna, you can bounce it back to your hand to keep it from getting killed on the opponent's turn. This card is hard to remove. It creates card advantage as long as you're able to attack with it. Like, if you're playing this to block, obviously you're doing it wrong. Like, this card, if you're going to run it in any kind of a mid-range to control a shell, you have to manage the board with all of your other cards. Fortunately, this gets you cards. So yeah, you depopulate, maybe they replay by playing a Planeswalker when you tap out or one thing, and then you play this and like you kill the Planeswalker and bounce it to your hand. You don't get to anticipate if you hit a Planeswalker, but I use Planeswalkers as an important example because those are usually the thing that the opponent loves to resolve when you tap out to do your sweeper, because they're hard for control decks packs to remove, especially blue-white ones. And Zergo and Ojitai says, not so fast. I've got this reoccurring threat that can get card advantage that you can't target. This card is going to be a real pain in the neck, and I look forward to seeing how it plays out in Standard. Will it be too slow? Is it unfair to hope that 5-mana 4/4 flying haste is good? I hope so. I hope that's not the case. Obviously, cards like Goldspan Dragon and Glorybringer have really broken that mold in the past. I want this to be one of those. I don't want it to be another one of, what's the card that's in Standard right now? Volatile Arsonist that just can't see any play. So yeah, I'm rooting for Zurgo and Ojutai. Next up, we have Sword of Once and Future. They completed it. They completed the cycle. I think I said something in a video about them completing the cycle, and everybody's like, no, CGB, no, there's a blue-black sword, it's not out. Well, I just was clairvoyant and knew it would come out, so shut up. I've got this. Let me do the talking. Anyway, Sword of Once and Future is a 3-mana artifact equipment mythic. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from blue and from black. Those are very good colors to have protection from. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, surveil 2. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Okay, surveil 2, meh. Like, it's okay. It's not, it can kind of be a card, especially the more you use the graveyard. Casting a spell for free? So in Standard, it's a small card pool, and instants and sorceries aren't quite what you want them to be. However, in Historic Brawl, Historic Explorer, this can cast See the Truth, which is a straight up like draw 3. Which is freaking sweet, and that's nice. In older formats, this can cast Ancestral Vision and just be a straight up draw 3. Like, once you get this thing cooking in other formats, it's very impressive. It is a lot of mana investment, but the protection is from relevant colors. And if there are other ways to use the graveyard with the surveil, it becomes even more powerful. So yeah, also, cheap instants and sorceries are the norm in older formats where there are a lot of good cheap instants and sorceries. I think that's the main thing that might hold it back in Standard is like, what are you gonna do? Cast a Consider? Whoop-de-frickin-do. But keep your eye out for really good cards that this could recast. Something that gets you more than one card of value. As some of you are just pogging over the idea of actually getting to cast an Impulse off this thing, I need to get at least 2 cards off this thing to start really getting excited. So it is a very interesting sword. I am very interested to see where it fits in. Having swords in Standard so far hasn't been high impact because of the high amount of mana it takes to move them around. But I hope that the next Standard, we might see the new red-green sword and now this sword get a little bit of play because I think they're sweet. All right. 3 quick spoilers for today of cards that I thought were really neat and wanted to talk about. Keep leaving me comments letting me know what you want me to talk about. You are the reason I talked about the frickin' Seedshark. I talked about it. You might not like what I have to say, but hey, we did it. So yeah, keep dropping comments. What cards do you want to see me cover? What are your favorite cards coming up from the set? And what did I miss? What am I wrong about? What's the best card? I don't know. You tell me. Thanks for watching. You're cool.